Hey guys, today we are going to be looking at the Kotobukiya, I think that's how you pronounce their name, Da-Garn X model kit, and here he is. And I love this kit. I love the show that it comes from. I love Da-Garn X, or Brave Fighter Da-Garn, and I love this model kit. And I'm not gonna do this sort of like video format for model kits because typically this is the only one that I have built that has enough content in it and that I like enough for me to want to do this. So that's why I'm doing this video style to go over him. And so yeah, so this isn't gonna be a permanent thing. I'm not gonna like build a Gundam and review it. I'm not gonna do that. I did do that with like three high grades, but that's not gonna happen. If I do it, it's going to be over the other Kotobukiya kits. I think that's how you pronounce their name. The non-transforming, like the Bandai Spirits SMP. Those ones transform. These ones are like Kotobukiya. I think I'm pronouncing their name right. But I don't know. So these ones, because technically, if you didn't watch my Brave J. Decker gift set, the standard version, and that's gonna be for another video. That's not for this video because he's not actually from the actual Brave toy line, but of course, obviously, but they Bandai now owns Brave and owns the Brave series, so these guys aren't owned by Takara, but I still say Takara Brave, not the Brave series. And Takara made the Brave toys. I explained this in that J. Decker video, but I'm not going to make you rewatch that or go read to find this out. But Takara, the Transformers weren't selling very well in the 90s. G2, late G1, G2. Basically, the brand was dying. And Transformers mecha anime in Japan just wasn't doing very well. And that's why Transformers Zone was canceled in the late 80s, with like Diatlas, Sky Gary, and the big black and white guy that turns into a fortress. I can't remember his name. So they had a bunch of molds laying around, they had a bunch of toys laying around, so they made up Brave, Takara Brave. That's why it's called Takara Brave, because Takara made it. So yeah, and Takara obviously made the toys, and a company called Sunrise, which animated the Mobile Suit Gundam series. I think that's who made it, and probably other mecha anime shows and probably other anime shows. But either way, later on it lasted from 2000. Not 2000. From 1990 with Brave X Kaiser to 1998 with the King of Braves, Gao Gai Gar, and then there was a bunch of little stuff in the 2000s, and then Bandai came into acquiring Sunrise, like bought the intellectual rights of them. So now Bandai owns the rights to all of the Brave series. So that is how Bandai essentially can sell this design, even though Takara made it up. Kind of like how Hasbro acquired the GoBots. Kind of like that. So I know that was 4 minutes of blabbing about how we got here, but overall, I really like this toy, so that's how I can count this as a full review of a Transformer, because he is basically from the Transformers. He is the Transformers. Like, think of Takara Brave as the weird cousin, like long-lost cousin of the Transformers. Kind of think of it like that. So yeah, enough about Brave as a whole, but we are talking about Da-Garn X. Not Da-Garn, not Da-Garn the show, Da-Garn X. And here he is. And I love this kit. It's so, like, he looks like he jumped right off the screen. If you have watched the show, just the plastic is so simple. And one thing that I want to point out before I really get into the stuff inside of him, his gimmicks and everything, is that obviously there's a couple visible nub marks on these guns, these little velvet no, not violet maybe. I don't know what color you'd call this, light purple, whatever. But you can barely see some nub marks. And that's something that I love about this kit, is that I have been getting better with getting rid of nub marks, like just cutting them better. But overall, this kit does a very nice job of being very forgiving with the nub marks. You can't really see too many on very critical places. They're engineered very well. And I do put a plus on that. This is my favorite model that I own, and I own quite a few, or not quite a few. I own about maybe 20, maybe a little less, 15, 20. And this is easily my favorite. Doesn't help that he has just a amazing design, and if you don't like his backpack, you can take it off. It just uses a peg and 3 tabs and 2 tabs. And you just want this body, but this is like the back of the jet of Da-Garn X, so technically this isn't supposed to be removed, and if you want it to stay there and you don't want it to come off anymore, you can just super glue it on. But I really, really like this toy. So this is about the size of a master grade. I have the new United Starscream for comparison. So master grade Gundam is about the same size as a Voyager, about 6 inches, and he is very comparable to that. So he is a big kit. I like him. He's nice and sturdy and solid, and that is what I love about this toy. That's why I claim it's a toy, not a model. All my model kits, they don't share the same feeling. This is from 2022, and I do hear that older kits are much more rickety. They're not better than newer kits. I definitely see that now, knowing how new this kit is. But I love the feel of it. It feels nice and incredible. Just, it's weighty, it's dense. It feels like a toy. It doesn't feel as obviously as dense as like an actual assembled toy, but it feels like a toy. It doesn't feel like a model kit, and that's something that I love about it. And so I feel good about posing it and everything, like posing every bit of it. And I'll show that off here in a moment, but I love the head. I just love the fact that the eyes, the yellow and the black, I think it's one big piece to the mouth plate. The yellow and the black around the eyes, that was painted on or tampographed on. I don't really know how they did it, but that was on. I didn't have to paint it. I didn't have a sticker. It was just on there. And I have not gotten a Gundam that I haven't had to either paint it or use a sticker. Typically, I don't use stickers or paint them. I just put the eyes in. They're okay. But this kit you don't have to deal with that. And I think this red piece is also painted on. Those are really the only painted pieces on here that are pre-painted. So if you want more panel lining or more detail, you will have to paint it. But those are the only two things that I give props to, that they're not stickers or you have to paint yourself. So yeah, and this guy uses no polycaps, the little squishy rubbery plastic that are typical with Gundam, not on here. And I really, really like it because it gives it this sturdy feel. The legs do feel like they've gotten a bit looser because they aren't polycaps, I guess. And these purple pieces where the joints are, those are, they do feel softer than this plastic. They're a touch softer. Maybe they're less glossy, I could say, like this, like gloss, like when you run your finger over like a piece of glass, like this glossy kind of feel. These pieces don't have that. So maybe they still add friction, obviously. So he comes with quite a few accessories, but before we get to that, I want to show you his box. The box is really dumb in my personal opinion. Get into the box and what he compares to with like parts count. So I'll get the box up here on the table and I'll talk about that. So yeah. So here's the box. And you can just see how big it is. I have, once again, the Starscream for comparison, and it is huge. It makes me personally 0 sense why this kit needs to be so big. The runners are not big at all. The runners are divided into 2 segments, but they could have easily been doubled up and make this box half of the size. When I saw it on my doorstep, when I opened the box, I thought it looked like it came in like a TV box. The Amazon box that I bought it from, it looked like a small TV was in it. Kotobukiya, I think these are the people that make it. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. And obviously, officially licensed by Sunrise Bandai. So, have all of that. And you can see that in this picture, they painted the sword yellow and white. I did not paint it. It's just going to be a solid red and more stuff. So I just wanted to show it off, is that this may look intimidating. It may look like you're going to build like a perfect grade. I don't own a perfect grade, but I assume perfect grades come in huge boxes like this, or a very complex master grade. Don't be intimidated. This kit, I ran the numbers. I counted all the spots on the runner. It has around 242 pieces. I might have completely botched the math, but that's how many it is. And this real grade Wing Zero EW that I built on the channel has 232. So it's very comparable, and this thing is way smaller. So yeah, don't get intimidated by this because the box is huge. It's comparable to, you know, a less complex master grade and a complex real grade. So yeah. So enough talking about boxes and parts count. I'll save a little bit of that for the end, but let's talk about the main gimmick of this guy, is his articulation. So his articulation, I really like it. So he has like a dumbbell joint. I guess you could call it a dumbbell joint. It's 2 ball joints on the end, but it's maybe a little too tall to be a dumbbell joint. You can see the sculpting on his neck. It does kind of suck that you can't get anything in there or your fingers to twist it, so it's completely in a line. You can see that seam joint right there, and then the neck aren't lined up because I would like spin it. But that's just like a little nitpick. But his head is super expressive. You can get basically anything you want because it uses 2 ball joints. You can look up super high and look down super low. And of course it can swivel and turn a 360. So that's really good. These fins can hinge in and out for some butterfly, and that's how far forward the butterfly joint can do. This you all build, and so because it works like this, the arm, until you get to like there, it looks kind of natural, but when you want to go over his head, the shoulder kind of starts getting weird. And watch out for this, that will start to, there's no like click. It just slips on and uses friction, so you can just take the arm off, but you just put it back on, and if you need to, just swivel it out and push it back on. But typically, I've done a little bit of posing with him, and he hasn't needed to go more than just in front of him. So he can go out that far, and because the shoulder pad is attached to the actual shoulder, and I'll just show you, is that you can utilize this double hinge in here and extend his arm and get way more out, and then you can utilize that with the butterfly joint to get way in front of his shoulder, and then you can utilize his fists and this joint here to get even more in front of himself, like so. And you can see in here that the shoulder is one big piece, and the shoulder pad is actually put on it. You know, when some Gundam, they make the shoulder pad like independent and can move, and like the shoulder pad is actually, I don't really know how to explain it, but you probably know if you have built a Gundam before. So before I get too deep into the arms, the backpack, these can hinge and then swivel. These ones back here cannot, and that's where they get the X in Da-Garn X. the big X. He has a bicep swivel, and it is super tight on this one. I think it's super tight on that one. It's a little bit looser on that side. So, and now he has a super good double jointed elbow like that. And now, I'm gonna bring his arms out like this. So he does have a waist swivel, and it does clash with the backpack just a little bit. And now he can get an ab crunch and a little bit of arcing back, but because there's a bunch of joints in here, you can extend it a little bit, and you can get even more forward and a little bit back. And if you just want him to stand just a touch taller, you can extend it, or you want to see more of his waist. But I'm just gonna collapse it again, and it does kind of get caught, so you just have to fiddle with it or just mess with it. So there you go. So now to the legs. These skirt pieces I think could be improved, because one of these just likes to pop off. You can see in here where I super glued the ball joint back onto this skirt because I accidentally clipped it off, and it is a super small one, but it doesn't experience too much. So yeah. And the back flap can go back as well. So you can kick that far forward, good 90, and then you can kick that far back, and then they can kick that far out, and that's where it just pops off. And you can probably see some stress marks on it. Maybe not. But that's one thing that I think could be improved, just the socket be a bit deeper. So I'm going to go ahead and take his leg off to show you this. Is that he has a shifting hip assembly, but both the hips are connected. Both hips are connected together. I'm going to see if I can get it. I think I'll have to take both legs off. But, there. Which I think they should have maybe done it independently, which obviously would have increased the parts count and would have made the kit more complex, but I think it would benefit the articulation a bit better. Would benefit the articulation a bit better. Oh wait, they are independent. I didn't know that. They're just so stiff that I thought they were together. So now you can get way up, and obviously way back. So you can utilize that if you need it. So I didn't know that they were independent. I did not know that. And obviously shifting a super tight joint like that, these, since they're not polycaps, can resist that way more. Like when I was building my goof, my high grade goof, I think I was like bending the leg out, and it was just super stiff, and it just completely crushed the polycap. And if I didn't have an extra, like I didn't get an extra with it, the leg would just fall off. But I think I either built something wrong or I just got one extra, and I was able to put the leg on and it would stay. So that is one thing that I really like about him not having polycaps. So he does have a thigh swivel right there. Can go probably a full 360, but it'd probably end up popping off. And the way the leg is made, you get a knee swivel as well, and then you get a double jointed knee, which is super deep, which I like. And now we have his feet, which are crazy. So I'll just kick it out so you can see this. So his toe can tilt up a little bit, can't tilt down, which kind of stinks, but it can tilt up. And then can tilt forward, the foot can, and can't tilt back. And then it can't tilt this way. It can move, but it has a super complex armature system in here, and I'll just take it out, is that it's connected by this big peg, or this slot. You can see that big rectangular peg in there. And on this foot, I don't know if it does it on the other foot, but it just doesn't stay on there very well. So I do recommend, before you seal up his leg, which I think I probably could just take this all apart, but I do recommend you put a little dab of super glue on there so you don't have to deal with that coming off when you shift it down, because you can't just pull it out. At least what I have found, you can't just pull it out. You have to kind of wiggle it out, but you get a lot of pivot that way. And I think I'll just not do anything with this leg. I'll just switch feet. But you can just see how complex this thing is. And you just plug that on. So you can see there's a ball joint there, and then there's that ball joint in there, and then you have this hinge. So you get a lot of movement. So that's why I say that is just go in there and put a drop of super glue on there. I think I might when I'm done with this video. Maybe not, because I probably won't mess with him again. And if I do, I will just be wary of the articulation. But you just rock it out so you get you can get a lot of tilt like that. And it came off again. And you can shift it. You can get a lot of forward. You can get a lot of back. Is that with how much articulation was put into this guy, you're just going to have to experiment with it. Just look around at what all he does. There isn't a section in his instruction book that tells you about all of his articulation. But overall, he is really articulated, and I have had a lot of fun posing him. And because he's so solid and feels like an actual toy and not like a model kit, he is actually a dream to pose. Just like a pre-built figure, not as like weighty and fun. He is kind of light, but he is way denser than my 1.5 RX78-2 Master Grade. Way better, way more dense, and I like him way more. So, yeah, before we wrap this up, we got some accessories to talk about, and I'll show off his instruction booklet. So, I'll get those on the table. So here are all these accessories. We have a bunch of hands. We have 2 cylinders, or barrels in this case. We have this little piece, and then we have this piece, this chest piece. So his hands, I have on these just fist hands that don't do anything, and simple. You just pull them out like that, and I'll put these on at the end, so I'll just put them off the side. So like that. And now we have a grasping hand, and all of the hands except for these hands, the fist hands, have this joint here. So it just helps with posability and such. So this one, I have the sword, and you can see the split in the hand where it just doesn't grab the sword just right. And the sword looks fine with no paint, and obviously, and still this sword not being silver or gray, I still like it white. It doesn't look out of place, but I don't know why. Like, I've tried it in these other grabby hands that are holding these handles, and it just doesn't, the sword just doesn't fit in either of them. So I don't know what that is, but just pop it in, and there you go. Got another grabby hand so you can hold the bottom of the sword, and the grabby hand to hold the sword as well. I like to have just this sword hand and then a fist hand. That's how I like to display him with my other Brave toys. So just gonna put them down, and you can obviously utilize the posability for all of, whatever you want to do. So I'll leave these handles off, these hands off right now, and I'll show those off last. We have these like clawing hands, or like I don't know what you'd call these hands, because they're not open hands, or these are more like open hands, and then these are more like flared hands, kind of. I don't know what you'd call them, but these are like grabby hands, and just put them on like that. You can do whatever you want with them. If you want them, like, I don't know, reaching for something, reaching for a guy. I don't really know what you would use them for, but I don't know. And then you have the flared hands, like if he's running and he's or flying in like a flying pose, like flying up. Most I think a lot of flying Gundam have hands like this, but so before we get on to those hands, we have these, which come out of his hands, and these are called the Earth Vulcans from the show, and they're just machine guns that come out of his hand, and he can shoot them. Really complex definition, but that's it. So these two barrels will come into play now, along with this piece and these trigger hands, or these hands. So you take these pieces off and you leave one set of tabs on. So this one, I'll just take this tab out and put that back in his leg. Or you can take them off, put them in the box, or set them off to the side while you're doing this, but I'm just going to leave them on his leg. So this hand with this slotted handle will go on like that. Will go on like that. And so now you put those together, and make sure that is like that. So now this will be like that. So now this hand will go on the bottom, like so. Like that. And now this is like a little sight. I think it goes, doesn't matter. And that goes in the opposite slot. So now these, you can see this cutout, and that will be slot in like that. And same thing on the bottom, like so. Or I need to turn it a little bit, like that. So this is the Earth Cannon, and this is one of his finisher moves, like the sword. And then this we will get into, and you do have to work the posability a little bit. I'm not gonna get too in depth with it, but I'm not gonna put it on, but just get him into a pose where it looks somewhat in front of him so he can shoot it. Or you can just not use that other handle. He can single wield the gun, but yeah, you can do that. And I think it says to paint that yellow if you want to, but I don't really care. I'm not going to use it. I just like him holding the sword. So I'm just going to leave it like this and put all this other stuff like the barrels and these other hands in the box. So, yeah. So, get this all put back and put this back on his leg and put that back on his leg, and we'll just put the regular standard fist back in his hand on his arms. And now we'll straighten him out. Straighten his arms out, get everything situated. And now we have this piece. So he has two other finishing moves. He has I wrote it down because I might have forgot. The Breast Earth Buster, which is a giant beam that comes out of his chest. These sides open up and reveal this earth. Kind of see the continents. I think some people, you're supposed to paint it or something. You can see the continents. And he will shoot a giant laser out of his chest and expel all of his energy, blowing whatever is in front of him apart. And then you have the Breast Earth Flash, which just does the same thing but less mild. So he doesn't expend all of his energy. So I think you can turn this in a way, like one of the gimmicks is you can turn the Earth, or you can pivot it. I don't really know, but this exterior shell, this like more clear one, not the blue Earth, but the outside one, you can kind of see it like that, would not stay on. So I just took a drop of super glue and I just dabbed it on so it's not going anywhere. That's why I didn't have it on him. But yeah, and you can see that this one is just blue, and this one is the earth. So that's what I did. I don't know how you do the gimmick, but it's in the booklet. But I didn't care about it. I just wanted this piece to stay on there, even though I'm not going to use it again. So because it tabs on with 2 pegs, and then these white pieces go on with tabs, they're super difficult to get off, and I just like to take these fins off, and they're just a hinge, so you're not gonna break it if you take them off. And I like to get the end of my scalpel and then just get behind it and just work it a little bit, just slowly. Started off with my hands, just get a little bit more of a gap, and now just get in there and just start working around it, not trying to break anything, just slowly pulling it off. So there it is. So you can see the innermost slots are for the standard chest, and then the outermost slots are for his finisher move. So we'll take that off, put this on, like so, like that. Oops. And now we will just slot it on. I won't put it on too much. And then just put those on, like so. And now it's just spread apart just a tiny bit, and now he can deliver his finishing move and blow apart whatever is in front of him. So he can use any of the clawed hands or open hands and flared hands to get a cool pose with him. But just, there's a reason why he comes with different hands and different accessories and the guns and everything, is that he was engineered to have this many accessories. I love this amount of accessories. You know, these hands, they feel just, the amount of hands feel just right. These barrels just feel just right. I don't feel like I was getting ripped off. And before I go on to talk about some other things, this guy costs about, I got him on Amazon with it was on sale or whatever, on discount, for about 41. So it was about 39, 38, 30, around 30. So I got him for about 40 to 41, 40 to 42. And I think he retails around 50 to 60. And I think that's still a great price, about master grade price. If you can't get him for less, way better. But I would pay, having it now, I would pay about 50 to 60 for this kit because I really like it, and I look forward to getting more Kotobukiya kits because I like them more than just the regular Bandai Spirit ones. So get this all cleared off, and I'll show you his instruction book. So yeah, so this is the booklet, nice and big, and it is a booklet, not like the weird Bandai Spirit ones. They're nice and clear. They are in black and white, but they're nice and clear. About what you have to do, what runners you need to pick from. Nice, clear, big pictures you're not struggling to look at. And that's what I just want to talk about, is that shows off some of the gimmicks and stuff. So I really like this. I think these are very nice instructions, and overall it's a really quick and simple, very simple build, because the instructions are very well. And just before that, you can just see there are 16 pages. That's not a lot. And I really like this booklet, really like the kit, and this booklet just simplifies it even more. Gives you a color sample of what you might need to paint with. You can see some of the painted detail on the chest, like the continents are painted and the little red pieces. You know, he's panel lined, and the sword, like I said, is colored, and the sight is colored, and probably like top coated or done whatever. But yeah, and if you're gonna read Japanese or whatever language this is, I assume Japanese, you can read the story about, probably bio about him. You have his size and some clips from the show. But yeah, I really like this. It makes the kit even quicker, even simpler to build. Really like that. To wrap this video up, it's gotten pretty long. I highly recommend this kit, and I'm looking forward to buying more Kotobukiya kits because they have most of the protagonists or main characters in Brave. I'm looking forward to getting more of their kits because just off of this one, I love it. It's going to rank really high on my top 10 toys at the end of the year. Don't know if it's going to get number 1. I don't think so. But it's going to at least make the list because it's a phenomenal kit for being complex and having a lot of parts. Due to its bigger size and the amazing instructions, I highly recommend it as a first kit. I found it very simple. It did take me quite a while. It took me about an afternoon and a couple hours in the morning of the next day. But overall, it doesn't have a lot of small pieces. Yeah, you have these little blue pieces and these little purple pieces down here. It is complex. It is in depth, but it is not difficult. And I really like that, especially for its price. If you can get it off, or you have like a coupon, or you can find a discount, I really recommend picking this kit up, or another Kotobukiya kit. Obviously, if this one's done good enough, I can at least probably assume that the other ones are going to be that way. But I really like this kit. It blew me away that it doesn't feel like a model. It feels like a toy, and I just love it. I really recommend it for anyone. If you're a veteran of Gunpla or model kit building, if you're a Brave fan, if you're a Transformers fan, I'd say probably quite a few Transformer people kind of stay in their lane. We like Transformers. We aren't a fan of Gundam or potentially other model kit things. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, or stereotyping, or putting a blanket over that. But Takara Brave is the same thing as Transformers. I don't care what you say. It's like I don't have a good example or a comparison right now, but they're cousins. They're weird cousins. Yeah, they're distant cousins, but they're cousins. They're still related. So I highly recommend this kit to anyone. I really like it. Love the design. Looks amazing and phenomenal. Love the look of it. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. So until next time, see ya.